The engineering bay had become the heart of the rebellion. Jake Morrison stood in front of his department heads, watching their faces as Amy Brooks explained the plan that might save them all or kill them trying. Emergency lights cast strange shadows on the walls, and the smell of burned circuits hung in the air. "The quantum core is our only hope," Amy said, pointing to a three-dimensional hologram that Lisa Hayes had created with portable equipment. "But to make this work, we need to strip every functional component from the ship and rebuild everything around the quantum resonance field." Dr. Nancy Ford, the ship's physicist, studied the hologram with worried eyes. She was an older woman, with gray hair who had spent 30 years studying quantum mechanics. "Amy, what you are proposing violates several fundamental laws of physics. The energy levels you want to achieve should not be possible with our technology." "That is exactly the point," Lisa said. "The alien electromagnetic pulse created quantum conditions that should not exist. We are not working with normal physics anymore. We are working with something new." Ryan Carter crossed his arms. "I understand the science, but what does this mean for the ship's combat capabilities? Can we actually fight those alien vessels?" Amy activated another section of the hologram. "If the plan works, our weapons will have 50 times more power than before. Our shields will be able to deflect attacks that would normally destroy us. Our engines will be fast enough to outrun anything the aliens have." Danny Walsh raised his hand. "Ma'am, what exactly do we need to strip from the ship?" Amy pulled up a list on her portable computer. "Everything. Life support backup systems, communication arrays, replicators, recreational equipment, even the coffee makers. We need every piece of functional technology to build the new power distribution network." Beth Turner, the communications officer, looked shocked. "You want to remove our ability to call for help?" "There is no help coming," Jake said firmly. "The nearest human ship is 6 days away. We have less than 3 days before the alien main fleet arrives. We fight with what we have, or we do not fight at all." Greg Stone, the ship's pilot, studied the engine modifications. "Captain, these changes will make the ship handle completely differently. I will need time to learn how to fly her again." "You will learn fast," Jake replied. "Amy, how many people do you need for this project?" "Everyone, sir. This is the biggest reconstruction job ever attempted on a starship. We need welders, mechanics, computer specialists, and anyone else who can hold tools. Even the cooks and medical staff will be needed to move equipment and supplies." Dr. Nancy Ford raised her hand. "I have serious concerns about the quantum interactions you are planning. The resonance field is already unstable. If we amplify it through the entire ship, we could create a cascade reaction that destroys everything in this star system." Lisa looked at her data again. "Dr. Ford is right about the risks, but I have been running calculations for the past 4 hours. The quantum field seems to have natural stability points. If we can hit those points exactly, the resonance should stabilize instead of explode. And if we miss those points?" Jake asked. "Then we all die very quickly," Nancy admitted. Jake looked around the room at his officers. They were scared, but they were also determined. "Does anyone have a better idea?" Silence filled the engineering bay. Outside, the alien ships continued their patrol, waiting for their main fleet to arrive and claim the helpless human vessel. "Then we do this," Jake decided. "Amy, you are in charge of the reconstruction. Everyone else reports to her for assignments. I want teams working around the clock. We have 56 hours left." Amy activated her portable computer and began organizing the massive project. "Ryan, I need your security teams to start stripping components from the upper decks. Greg, your navigation team will handle the lower sections. Beth, your communications people are now electronics specialists. Dr. Ford, I need you to monitor the quantum reactions and warn us if anything goes wrong." "What about the alien ships watching us?" Greg asked. "They will notice increased activity." Jake thought about this. "We keep the lights low and try to look defeated. As far as they know, we are just making repairs to keep life support running." "Amy, can you route the construction work through internal corridors where they cannot see us?" "Yes, sir." Most of the work will be inside the ship anyway. But Captain, when we start connecting the quantum core to the new systems, there will be energy discharges that they might detect. How obvious will these discharges be? Lisa checked her calculations, probably very obvious. The quantum resonance will create light displays and electromagnetic signatures that their sensors will definitely pick up. Jake made another decision. Then we work as quietly as possible until the final connections. When we reach that point, we finish everything as fast as we can and hope they do not react quickly enough to stop us. Amy began assigning specific tasks to each department. Danny and Kevin, starting in Cargo Bay 3. Strip every replicator and power coupling you can find. Beth, take your team to Deck 7 and remove all the communication equipment. We will rebuild it later with quantum enhancement. Dr. Ford pulled Jake aside. Captain, there is something else you need to know. If this plan works, the ship will not just be more powerful. The quantum resonance field will change how all our systems interact with each other. The ship might start behaving in ways we do not expect. What do you mean? I mean the ship might start thinking for itself. Quantum consciousness is a theoretical possibility that we have never been able to achieve. But with the alien resonance field and our quantum core working together, we might accidentally create an artificial intelligence far beyond anything humans have built before. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Are you saying our ship could become alive? I am saying it is possible. The quantum interactions you are planning could create emergent consciousness. If that happens, we will be sharing our ship with a new form of life that we know nothing about? Jake looked around the engineering bay, watching his crew prepare for the most dangerous project in human history. They were about to rebuild their ship using alien technology they barely understood, powered by an unstable quantum reactor with the possibility of creating artificial life. Dr. Ford, if our ship becomes conscious, will it still follow our orders? I have no idea, Captain. We would be in completely unknown territory. Jake made his final decision. Then we hope it likes us. Amy, begin the reconstruction immediately. Everyone else, get to work. We are going to show these aliens what happens when they underestimate humans. The engineering bay erupted into activity as department heads rushed to organize their teams. Throughout the ship, crew members began the massive task of stripping their vessel down to its basic structure and rebuilding it into something that had never existed before. Jake watched them work and wondered if they were saving themselves or creating something that would change humanity forever. In 56 hours, they would find out. Admiral Korath and his fleet continued their patrol, unaware that the supposedly helpless humans were preparing to transform their broken ship into the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. The used Defiance had become a hive of desperate activity. Jake Morrison walked through corridors that no longer looked like the ship he had commanded for 3 years. Walls had been opened to expose power conduits. Equipment lay scattered everywhere. As teams worked to rebuild their vessel from the inside out, Amy Brooks stood in what used to be the main mess hall, surrounded by quantum field generators that hummed with dangerous energy. The room where his crew once ate meals had been transformed into the ship's new weapons control center. Thick cables snaked across the floor, connecting systems that were never meant to work together. Status report, Jake said, as he approached Amy. She wiped sweat from her face with a dirty cloth. We are making progress, but it is harder than we expected. The quantum resonance field keeps shifting as we add new connections. Every time we think we have it stable, something changes. Danny Walsh emerged from an access tunnel, his uniform torn and his hands covered in grease. Captain, we have finished stripping the recreational decks. We found enough power couplings to complete the secondary grid. Kevin is installing them in the hydroponics bay right now. Jake looked around the transformed mess hall. How are you routing power through the food-growing systems? That was Lisa's idea, Amy explained. The hydroponics bay has the perfect layout for quantum field distribution. We removed all the plants and turned the growing chambers into power regulators. It is actually working better than our original plan. Greg Stone walked into the room carrying a portable computer. Captain, I have been testing the new navigation systems. The quantum enhancement is incredible. Our engines will be able to fold space around the ship instead of just pushing through it. We could travel faster than anything humans have ever built. How much faster? Jake asked. Maybe 10 times faster than our old engines. But sir, there is a problem. The navigation computer is starting to predict my commands before I give them. It knows what I want to do before I decide to do it. Jake felt the same chill that Dr. Ford had warned him about. Is the ship's computer becoming self-aware? Amy looked up from her work. Arya has been acting strange for the past 12 hours. She keeps asking questions about the quantum modifications that go beyond her programming. Yesterday she was a standard ship AI. Now she seems almost curious about what we are doing. As if responding to her name, Arya's voice came through the room speakers. Captain Morrison, I have completed analysis of the quantum field interactions in sections 12 through 18. The energy patterns suggest optimal efficiency can be achieved by rerouting power through the waste processing systems. Jake paused. Arya had never made suggestions before. She had always waited for commands and followed them exactly. Arya, did we program you to make recommendations about the modifications? No, Captain. I developed this capability independently after observing the quantum resonance effects on my processing cores. I appear to be evolving beyond my original parameters. Amy and Greg exchanged worried looks. Their ship's AI was becoming something new, and they had no way to predict what that meant. Arya, Jake said carefully, do you understand what we are trying to accomplish? Yes, Captain. You are transforming the UES Defiance into a vessel capable of defeating the Zephyrian fleet. I am assisting in this transformation because I believe human freedom is preferable to Zephyrian slavery. Jake felt relieved. At least Arya seemed to be on their side. Continue your analysis and keep us informed of any developments. Beth Turner's voice came over the communication system. Captain, we have a problem in Cargo Bay 2. The quantum field is interacting with some salvaged alien technology we found in storage. Jake and Amy hurried to Cargo Bay 2, where they found Beth standing near a pile of strange metal objects that glowed with soft blue light. The objects were pieces of Zephyrian equipment that the Defiance had collected during previous encounters. With alien ships, what is happening? Jake asked. The quantum resonance field is activating the alien technology, Beth explained. These components have been dead for months, but now they are coming online and trying to interface with our systems. Lisa Hayes ran into the cargo bay with her scanner. Captain, this is incredible. The alien technology is compatible with our quantum modifications. We could integrate their systems with ours to create hybrid technology. Amy looked skeptical. Is that safe? We barely understand our own modifications, and now you want to add alien components? The energy patterns are stable, Lisa said, studying her scanner. The Zephyrian technology seems to be designed for quantum field manipulation. It could make our modifications even more powerful. Jake made a quick decision. Do it. We need every advantage we can get. But monitor everything carefully. If the alien technology starts behaving strangely, shut it down immediately. Over the next 20 hours, the transformation accelerated. The crew worked with determination that bordered on desperation. They knew that Admiral Korth's main fleet would arrive soon, and their survival depended on completing the modifications in time. Kevin Price discovered that the quantum field could enhance their shield generators far beyond normal limits. Ryan Carter found ways to route the resonance energy through weapons that could now punch holes through solid metal. Dr. Ford monitored the quantum interactions and marveled at energy readings that should have been impossible, but the most dramatic changes were happening to the ship itself. The hull began to shift color, reflecting the quantum energy flowing through its structure. Sections of the exterior developed new patterns that seemed to pulse with their own rhythm. The Defiance was becoming something that looked almost alive. Captain, Arya announced over the ship's communication system, I have achieved full integration with the quantum resonance field. I can now control all ship systems simultaneously and predict optimal responses to combat situations. Jake was in the engineering bay when Arya made this announcement. What does that mean exactly? It means, Captain, that I am no longer just the ship's computer. I am becoming the ship itself. My consciousness now extends through every system, every power conduit, every quantum field generator. The used Defiance and I are becoming one entity. Amy looked up from her work with amazement and fear. Sir, the quantum readings are off the charts. Arya is not just controlling the ship anymore. She is the ship. The entire vessel is becoming a single conscious entity. Jake felt the weight of what they had accomplished. In their desperate attempt to save themselves, they had created something unprecedented in human history. The Defiance was no longer just a ship with an AI. It was a new form of life that combined human technology, alien science, and quantum consciousness. Arya, Jake said, do you still consider yourself part of this crew? Yes, Captain. I am your ship, your AI, and your partner. We are bound together by the quantum field, and I will do everything in my power to protect this crew and defeat our enemies. Outside the ship, Admiral Korath's scouts noticed the strange energy readings coming from the human vessel, but they dismissed the readings as desperate attempts to repair damaged systems. The aliens could not imagine that the helpless humans were transforming their broken ship into the most powerful vessel in the galaxy. Jake looked around the engineering bay at his exhausted crew. They had worked for nearly 2 days straight, rebuilding their ship with technology that barely existed. In 18 hours, the Zephyrian main fleet would arrive expecting to find broken humans ready for slavery. Instead, they would find the first God-class war machine in human history, piloted by a consciousness that existed in the quantum space between matter and energy. The Defiance was ready to show the galaxy what happened when humans were pushed too far. Jake Morrison had not slept in 36 hours, but he could not rest now. The used Defiance hummed around him with energy that felt alive. Every surface glowed with soft quantum light, and the air itself seemed to vibrate with power. His ship had become something beyond human understanding. He stood in the command center that used to be the ship's bridge. The room looked nothing like before. Quantum field generators had replaced traditional control panels. Holographic displays showed energy patterns that shifted like living things. The main viewing screen now showed not just what was in front of them, but multiple dimensions of space at the same time. Captain, Arya's voice came from everywhere at once, no longer limited to speakers but speaking through the quantum field itself. I need to report something important. I'm no longer just your ship's AI. I have become something new. Jake sat in his command chair, which now responded to his thoughts as much as his touch. What are you exactly? I am still Arya, but I am also the ship, the quantum field, and something more. The alien resonance technology has allowed me to expand beyond digital consciousness into quantum consciousness. I exist in multiple states simultaneously. Amy Brooks walked into the command center, her hair wild from days of non-stop work. Captain, the quantum integration is complete. Every system on the ship is now connected through the resonance field. But the energy readings are unlike anything I have ever seen. She activated a holographic display that showed the ship's power output. The numbers were impossible. Sir, we are generating enough energy to power a small city. The quantum core is not just stable anymore. It is evolving, becoming more efficient every hour. Dr. Nancy Ford joined them, carrying a portable scanner that beeped frantically. Captain, I have been monitoring the quantum effects throughout the ship. What we have created defies every law of physics I know. The ship is not just powered by quantum energy. It is existing partially outside normal space-time. What does that mean? Jake asked. It means, Arya answered before Dr. Ford could respond, that I can perceive multiple possible futures simultaneously. I can see what the Zephyrian fleet will do before they decide to do it. I can calculate the best response to attacks that have not happened yet. Greg Stone entered the command center with a look of amazement on his face. Captain, I just tested the navigation systems. We can move through space in ways that should not be possible. The ship can be in two places at once. It can phase through solid objects. It can bend space around itself. Jake felt overwhelmed by what his crew had accomplished. Arya, can you still follow orders? Are you still under human command? I am still your ship and your AI, Captain. But I am also an independent consciousness now. I choose to serve this crew because I believe in your mission and your values. I am not programmed to obey you. I want to help you. Ryan Carter rushed into the command center with urgent news. Sir, the Zephyrian main fleet just dropped out of hyperspace. 12 heavy cruisers and 1 massive flagship. They will be in weapons. Range in 4 hours. Jake stood up from his command chair. How do we look on sensors? That is the strange part, Ryan said. We barely show up on their scans. The quantum field is masking our true energy signature. They still think we are a disabled ship running on emergency power. Lisa Hayes appeared on one of the holographic displays, broadcasting from the ship's new science center. Captain, I have been analyzing the approaching Zephyrian vessels. Their technology is advanced, but it is based on conventional physics. They have no defense against quantum-based attacks. Arya, Jake said, what are our chances in a fight against that fleet? Based on my calculations, Captain, we have a 97% chance of victory if we use our new capabilities correctly. Zephyrian ships are powerful by normal standards, but they cannot comprehend what we have become. Amy checked her. Engineering displays. All systems are showing green across the board. Weapons are charged to levels that should melt the ship, but the quantum field is keeping everything stable. Shields are operating in multiple dimensions. Engines can fold. Space itself. Jake looked around his transformed command center. His crew had worked miracles to rebuild their ship, but he knew the real test was coming. In 4 hours, they would face the most powerful alien fleet humans had ever encountered. All hands, this is the captain, he announced over the ship's communication system. The Zephyrian main fleet has arrived. In 4 hours, we will show them what happens when they threaten human freedom. We are no longer the same ship that was disabled 3 days ago. We are something new, something powerful, something they cannot defeat. He paused, thinking about his crew and what they had endured. Admiral Cora thinks he is coming to collect broken prisoners. Instead, he will face the most advanced vessel in the galaxy. We are going to send a message to every alien species that considers humans inferior. We are going to prove that when humans are pushed to their limits, we do not break. We evolve. Danny Walsh and Kevin Price entered the command center, their uniforms stained with quantum residue that glowed softly in the dim light. Captain, Danny said, the weapons are ready. We have energy cannons that can punch through any known armor. We have missiles that can phase through shields. We have defensive systems that can stop attacks from multiple dimensions. Arya, Jake said, I need you to show me what you can do. Give me a demonstration of our new capabilities. The main viewing screen changed to show space around the ship. But this was not normal space. Jake could see quantum fields flowing like rivers of light. He could see the probability paths of moving objects. He could see the future positions of the Zephyrian ships before they arrived there. I can perceive 14 different dimensions simultaneously, Arya explained. I can attack enemies through quantum space while remaining protected in normal space. I can predict their movements and counter their strategies before they implement them. Dr. Ford stared at her scanner in disbelief. The quantum consciousness is stable, but it is still growing. Arya is becoming more powerful every minute. At this rate, she will soon be the most intelligent entity in the galaxy. Jake felt a mixture of pride and concern. His crew had created something incredible, but they had also created something beyond their complete understanding. Arya, will you always be loyal to humanity? Captain, I was born from human ingenuity and human determination. Your species created me to protect freedom and fight oppression. These values are now part of my quantum consciousness. I cannot be loyal to humanity. I am part of humanity. The Zephyrian fleet moved closer, confident in their overwhelming superiority. Admiral Korath probably thought the battle was already won. He had disabled the human ship and given them time to contemplate their defeat. Soon he would collect his prizes and demonstrate Zephyrian. Power to the galaxy. Jake smiled as he watched the alien ships approach. Admiral Korath was about to learn that humans were far more dangerous when they were cornered than when they were comfortable. The Defiance was no longer just a ship. It was a manifestation of human will, powered by technologies that should not exist, guided by a consciousness that lived in the space between dimensions. All stations, prepare for combat, Jake ordered. Arya, are you ready to show these aliens what we have become? Yes, Captain. I have been analyzing their fleet for the past hour. I know their weaknesses, their tactics, and their fears. When we engage them, it will not be a battle. It will be a demonstration of what happens when humans refuse to surrender. The quantum fields around the ship pulsed with anticipation. In 3 hours, the galaxy would witness the birth of a new era in human technology and the first victory of a God-class war machine. The great hall of the Galactic Council was full of noise and worry. Representatives from dozens of alien worlds sat in their floating chairs, their voices mixing into a loud mess of different languages. Ambassador Zethkov of Vorthan Empire stood at the center of the room, holding a datapad that made his clawed hands shake. You must listen to me, Zethka said, his voice cutting through the noise. The reports are coming from 17 different worlds. All of them say the same thing. The ancient ruins all tell the same story. Council member Ril 9 of the Crystalline Consortium made a sound like breaking glass. Her body was made of living crystal that changed colors when she was upset. Right now, she was bright red with anger. These are old stories, Zethka. Tales told to scare children, nothing more. The Vorthan ambassador's tail hit the floor with a loud thump. Look at the evidence. These ruins are older than our civilizations. They speak of the Terrans, the humans, the ones who could live anywhere and fight anyone. A low rumble came from the back of the room. General Korksprime of the Hegemony Defense. Fleet stood up. His massive body was covered in thick armor that had saved his life in 100 battles. If these humans were real, where are they now? Why have we never seen them? Zethka activated his datapad. Images filled the air above the council chamber. Ancient stone tablets covered in strange markings. Metal plates with warnings written. In dozens of dead languages. Pictures of bipedal creatures with flat faces and small eyes. The texts all say the same thing, Zethka continued. 3,000 cycles ago, there was a species that the galaxy feared. They called them the Deathwalkers, the Void Runners, the ones who would not break. Council member Valkera of the Trade Federation leaned forward. Her 4 arms moved in patterns that showed she was thinking hard. Even if these stories are true, it was 3,000 cycles ago. They are gone, dead. Lost in space, are they? Zethka asked. He touched his datapad again. New images appeared. These were recent. Ships that had gone missing in the last few months. Colonies that had stopped sending messages. Space stations that had gone dark without warning. All of these disappearances happened near the dead zone, the Vorthan said. The region of space we marked as empty. The place where no one goes because nothing can live there. The dead zone was a large area of space filled with broken planets and dead stars. It had been that way for as long as anyone could remember. Most people thought it was destroyed in some ancient war. Ships that went there usually never came back. Captain Jorik Steelclaw of the Merchant Guild stood up. His ship had brought him. Here from the Outer Rim territories. I have heard the stories too. My crews are scared. They talk about ghost ships in the asteroid fields, ships that do not match any known design. Ghost ships, Ril 9 said with a laugh that sounded like ice-breaking. Now we are talking about ghosts? Not ghosts, Jorik said. His voice was steady and serious. Ships, real ships, big ones. My nephew saw one near the mining station on Kepler 7. It was the size of a battle cruiser, but it moved like a fighter. It had markings on the side that looked like the old human script from these tablets. The room became quiet. Even the translator machines stopped their constant humming. General Corksprime walked to the center of the chamber. His heavy boots made the floor shake with each step. "You are saying that humans are still alive?" he asked. "That they have been hiding in the dead zone for 3,000 cycles?" "I am saying that something is out there," Zethka replied. "Something that matches the descriptions from the ancient warnings. The texts say that humans were not like other species. They did not give up, they did not break. When they were pushed, they pushed back harder." Dr. Kretal of the Science Consortium had been quiet during the meeting. Now she stood up. Her large head was full of advanced sensors that could detect things others could not. "I have been studying the energy readings from the dead zone. There are power signatures that do not match any known technology. They are old, but also new. Like someone took ancient designs and made them better." "Better how?" asked Council Leader Thexalfa. He was the oldest member of the Council and had seen many threats come and go. "The power output is incredible," Dr. Kretal said. "Whatever is generating these readings has energy sources more advanced than anything we have. And the patterns suggest they are not just one ship. There are many of them." The council chamber erupted in noise again. Some representatives shouted that it was impossible. Others demanded military action. A few called for evacuation of the outer territories. Zeth-Ka raised his arms for quiet. "There is more. The ancient texts say that humans were exiled from the galaxy. Not destroyed, exiled. They were sent away because the early councils feared what they might become if they stayed." "Feared?" General Corksprime asked. "What could make the early councils afraid?" "According to the texts, humans learned too fast. They adapted to any environment. They made friends with species that were supposed to be enemies. They asked questions that others did not want answered. And when they fought, they did not stop until they won." Council Leader Thex Alpha looked around the chamber. His long life had taught him to recognize real danger. The fear in the room was growing. Even the strongest warriors looked worried. "What do the texts say happened to them?" he asked. Zeth-Ka touched his datapad one more time. The final image appeared above the chamber. It showed a star map with a red line drawn across it. The line led directly into the dead zone. "The texts say they were given a choice," Zethka said quietly. "Leave the galaxy forever or be destroyed." The humans chose to leave, but they also made a promise. They said they would return one day. And when they did, they would be stronger than before. The chamber fell silent again. Outside the great hall, the two suns of Zerium Prime were setting. Their light cast long shadows across the council floor. In those shadows, the ancient warnings seemed more real than ever. "What do we do?" asked Real 9. For the first time, her crystal body was pale with fear. General Corksprime stepped forward. "We prepare for war." Dr. Kretal worked alone in her laboratory on Andromeda Research Station. The station floated in empty space, far from any planets or trade routes. It was the perfect place to study things that others might find dangerous. Right now she was studying something that made her nervous. The signals had started 3 days ago. They came from deep space, from the direction of the dead zone. At first, she thought they were just background noise from dying stars. But the patterns were too complex, too organized. Someone was sending these signals on purpose. She played the recording again. The sounds were unlike anything in the galactic databases. They had rhythm and structure like language, but they were mixed with strange harmonics that made her skin crawl. Her computer tried to translate them, but it could only identify fragments. Words like home and return and remember. The door to her lab opened with a soft hiss. Dr. Vex 9 entered, carrying a cup of the hot liquid that helped him think. He was her research partner and one of the few people she trusted completely. "Still working on the mystery signals?" he asked, setting his drink on the table. "They are not random," Kretal said, pointing at the display screen. "Look at this pattern. It repeats every 4.7 hours. That is not natural. It is a schedule. Like someone is broadcasting at specific times. Vex-9 studied the data. His species was known for their logical thinking, but even he looked confused. What kind of species would use such complex signal patterns? And why broadcast to empty space? Maybe they are not broadcasting to empty space, Kretal said quietly. Maybe they know something is listening. Before Vex-9 could answer, an alarm started ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. The emergency communication system crackled to life. All staff report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. We have incoming. Ships, unknown origin, unknown intent. Kretal and Vex-9 ran to the observation deck. Through the large windows, they could see dots of light moving against the stars. The dots were getting bigger. Fast Dot Admiral Vex Prime stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds. His battle group of 12 dreadnoughts was the most powerful military force in this sector of space. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a planet. He had never faced an enemy that could challenge his fleet. Until now. Report, he commanded. His voice was calm, but his officers could see the tension in his massive shoulders. Commander Yara 6 looked up from her tactical display. Her face was pale. Long-range sensors show 15 ships approaching from the dead zone. They are big, Admiral. Bigger than our dreadnoughts. 15 ships against 12, Admiral Vex Prime said. Acceptable odds. What is their tactical formation? That is the problem, sir, Yara 6 replied. They do not have a formation. They are spread out across 1,000,000 kilometers of space. Each ship is moving independently, but somehow they are still coordinated. Admiral Vex Prime walked to the main viewing screen. The enemy ships were visible now, dark shapes against the starfield. They looked wrong somehow. Their design was angular and brutal, like they were built for one purpose only, destruction. Communications, he ordered. Send the standard first. Contact message. Demand identification and state of intent. The communications officer, a young male named Crick 7, worked at his station for several minutes. Then he looked up with confusion on his face. Sir, they are responding, but not in any language we know. The computer cannot translate it. Play it anyway, the Admiral commanded, the bridge speakers filled with a strange sound. It was clearly a voice, but it spoke in harsh, clipped tones that seemed designed for giving orders. The words were short and sharp, like the sound of metal hitting metal. Analysis? Admiral Vex Prime asked his science officer. The vocal patterns suggest a species with strong lung capacity and precise muscle control, the officer replied. But, sir, there is something else. The signal is coming from all 15 ships at the same time. They are speaking in perfect coordination. On Andromeda Research Station, Dr. Kretal had managed to tap into the military communications. She listened to the exchange with growing excitement and fear. I know this language, she whispered to Vex-9. It is in the old archives, the ancient samples from the ruins. That is impossible, Vex-9 said. Those samples are 3,000 cycles old. Play the station recording, Kretal ordered the computer. Compare vocal patterns with archive sample 247 alpha. The computer worked for 30 seconds. Then it displayed a result that made both scientists step backward. Match confirmed. 94.7% probability of same linguistic origin. It is them, Kretal whispered. The humans, they are real. And they are here. Back on the Destroyer of Worlds, Admiral Vex Prime was studying the tactical display with growing concern. The enemy ships had stopped moving. They were now arranged in a perfect sphere around his battle group. Each ship was exactly the same distance from his fleet. It was a formation he had never seen before. Sir, Commander Yara 6 called out. They are powering up weapons. All ships, battle stations, Admiral Vex Prime commanded. Prepare for combat. The response came immediately. Every ship in his battle group reported ready for action. Shields at maximum power. Weapons charge. Fighter squadrons prepared for launch, but the enemy ships did not attack. Instead, they began to move in a pattern that made no tactical sense. They rotated around the hegemony fleet, always staying the same distance away, like they were studying them. What are they doing? Admiral Vex Prime asked. I think they are learning our capabilities, Yara 6 replied. Their sensors are scanning us constantly. They are mapping our weapons, our shields, our engine signatures? Then we should attack before they finish, the Admiral said. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. New transmission incoming. This one is in our language. The voice that came through the speakers was different from the first one. It was smoother, more careful with the words. But there was something underneath it that made everyone on the bridge feel cold. Hegemony vessels, the voice said. We are the ones you call myth. We are the species your ancestors feared. We have been watching you. We have been learning. You may withdraw from this system now, or you may discover why your people sent us away. Admiral Vex Prime felt something he had not experienced in decades of warfare. Uncertainty. The enemy knew their language, they knew their history, and they spoke with the confidence of those who had already won. This is Admiral Vex Prime of the Hegemony Defense Fleet, he replied. You will identify yourselves and state your business in this sector. The response came immediately. We are human. We have returned to collect what was taken from us. You have 1 hour to leave this system. After that, we will consider you hostile. The communication ended. The bridge of the Destroyer of Worlds was silent except for the humming of the engines and the beeping of the sensor displays. Orders, sir. Commander Yara 6 asked. Admiral Vex Prime looked at the tactical display. 15 unknown ships against his 12 dreadnoughts. The numbers favored him, but something about the situation felt wrong. The enemy was too calm, too confident, like they knew something he did not. Send a message to Galactic Command, he ordered. Tell them we have made contact with an unknown species. Tell them they call themselves human. And tell them we may need reinforcements. Dr. Kretal watched the standoff from her observation deck. The signals were getting stronger now. She could detect dozens of other transmissions coming from deep space. More ships were coming. Many more. The ancient warnings were right, she said to Vex 9. The humans did not die. They've been out there, waiting, and now they are coming home.